When working in a classroom, it's important to notice that each student is on their own individual level, and sometimes students need a little extra help. In classrooms, you will be exposed to students who sometimes have severe to moderate disabilities or students who are just struggling learners, and they really need that extra push to help them remember and collect the same material their peers are retaining as well. So a topic that's covered in math is probability and data. So a way that we do this in our classroom is we do graphing. And so a way to look at graphing is, and a way to get students talking, this is a fun activity to do with them, is having them walk around and ask each other what their favorite snack, favorite TV show, favorite sport, music, something along those lines, their favorite whatever, and recording down what their peers say. And then when we come back together as a group, we can make a graph to discuss what their peers said. So as we look at this graph, we have our title at the top, so we have our favorite snacks, and then we have our two axes labeled, so we have students who like snacks, and then we have who like those snacks, and then we have those numbers, and then we have our favorite snacks, and then we have our pizza, fries, chocolate, peanuts, and other categories. It's important to break down these steps to students and have them realize that when setting up a graph, it takes time, and that the graph needs to be labeled properly so when others are interpreting your data, they are able to read it properly. For students who struggle, it's sometimes hard for them to remember all those steps. So providing them with an outline of a graph, they are able to go back and it's like a checklist, if you will, for them to refer back to and outline further graphs in the future. So on the outline, they would have a title. They need to always remember to have a title on top of the graph. And then you have your X and Y axis here, and we want to make sure that we label both our axes. I know this is something important that a lot of students forget. So we need to make sure we label both of our axes with a name and then the proper category so people are able to read what we are collecting our data from. When recording the data individually, sometimes students have trouble drawing a graph themselves freehand. So providing them even with just a sheet of graph paper that already has the grid printed out on it will allow students to be able to record the data more fluently and not make little mistakes or read the data wrong when they're trying to interpret it for our class discussion. So when having a class discussion about the graph, it's really important to bring up what category had, the most likes or the least likes, or which two categories are the closest in likes, and also making sure to include students in highlighting which category they liked and how many were in that category as well. Sometimes students can forget which category they marked, so another fun way to do this, and this is interactive and it gets students with disabilities involved as well, is taking this graph and putting it on the floor basically. So taking some duct tape and stretching it out, putting it and making a life-size graph, and then providing students with a little note card with their name on it. And so then you would say, okay, whose favorite food is pizza? And if my favorite food is pizza, I would go up to the first square or the next square in the row and add my card to pizza. And then that would be a way to look at the graph, but in a more life-size scale.